The morning of my wedding day began like a scene from a dream. Sunlight streamed through the windows of my childhood bedroom in our small Connecticut home, casting golden patterns across the walls. I'd always imagined this day, but nothing prepared me for how it would actually feel, equal parts excitement and terror, joy and nostalgia. "Rebecca, honey, the flowers just arrived," Mom called from downstairs, her voice tinged with that particular blend of happiness and stress I'd grown accustomed to over the past year of planning. I checked my reflection one last time, my dark hair half done, face bare except for moisturizer, and headed down. The florist had outdone herself. White peonies, blush roses, and sprigs of eucalyptus filled our kitchen with their delicate fragrance. And there, in the center of it all, sat my bouquet, a cascade of ivory and pale pink blooms tied with silk ribbon. "It's perfect," I whispered, reaching out to touch the soft petals. That's when I noticed it, the corner of an envelope just barely visible between the stems. "What's this?" Mom looked confused. "I don't know, maybe a note from the florist." I carefully pulled the small cream envelope from the bouquet. My name was written on the front in handwriting I didn't recognize, not elegant calligraphy, but hurried, almost desperate strokes. "Weird timing for a card," I said, trying to joke away the sudden unease I felt. "I should finish getting ready. I'll read it upstairs." Back in my room, I sat at the edge of my bed and opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside was a single sheet of paper, folded precisely. "Rebecca, I know this is cruel timing, but you deserve to know before you say, 'I do.' Daniel has been lying to you. He's not the man you think he is. 2 months ago, I saw him with another woman at the Harborview Hotel. They weren't just talking. Ask him about April 17th. Ask him about Melissa. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this. Someone who cares." My stomach lurched. The room seemed to tilt sideways. April 17th. I remembered that day. Daniel had been in Boston for work. He'd called me that night from his hotel room, telling me how much he missed me. A knock at the door startled me. "Becca, the makeup artist is here," my sister Jenna called. I shoved the letter under my pillow. "Coming," I managed, my voice unnaturally high. The next 3 hours passed in a blur. As women fussed over my hair, makeup and dress, my mind raced through possibilities. It had to be a mistake, or a cruel joke. Daniel couldn't do this to me. We'd been together for 4 years. I knew him. I trusted him. But the doubt had been planted, and it grew with every passing minute. By the time I stood at the back of the church, clutching my father's arm, my bouquet felt like it weighed 100 pounds. The music began, and the doors swung open to reveal rows of smiling faces, and at the end of the aisle, Daniel, handsome in his tuxedo, eyes shining with tears as he saw me. "You okay, sweetheart?" Dad whispered, sensing my hesitation. No, I wasn't okay. I was walking toward the rest of my life with a question mark where certainty should be, but I nodded, forcing a smile, and took my first step down the aisle. Each step brought another thought. 4 years together, a home we'd bought last year, plans for children, for growing old together. And then, April 17th, the Harborview Hotel. Melissa. Who was Melissa? Before I knew it, I was standing beside Daniel. He took my hands, whispered, "You're breathtaking," and all I could think was, are these the same hands that touched another woman? The ceremony began. The minister spoke of trust, honesty, devotion. Each word felt like a knife. When it came time for our vows, Daniel's voice was steady as he promised to be faithful, to cherish me always. Was he lying? Had he already broken these promises before even making them? "Rebecca," the minister said, bringing me back to the present, "do you take Daniel to be your lawfully wedded husband?" Everyone was waiting. Daniel's eyes searched mine, his expression shifting from joy to concern. The words wouldn't come. Instead, other words bubbled up. April 17th, the Harborview Hotel, Melissa. Daniel's face drained of color, and in that moment, I knew the letter wasn't a mistake or a joke. It was the truth. "I can't do this," I whispered, then louder. "I'm sorry, I need a minute." I turned and ran, my white dress trailing behind me, leaving gasps and murmurs in my wake. I didn't stop until I reached the small antechamber off the main sanctuary, where I'd waited before the ceremony. I collapsed onto a chair, clutching my bouquet, the beautiful, terrible bouquet with its hidden secret. The door opened, and Daniel stood there, his face a mixture of confusion and fear. "Rebecca, what's happening? What did you say back there?" I pulled the letter from where I'd tucked it into my bodice and held it out to him. "Tell me this isn't true." Daniel's hands shook as he read the letter. The small room was silent except for the muffled sounds of concerned guests beyond the door and my own heartbeat thundering in my ears. When he finally looked up, his expression confirmed everything. "Becca, I can explain," he began, his voice breaking. "So it's true?" The words came out as barely more than a whisper. He ran a hand through his carefully styled hair. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it, Daniel? Who is Melissa? What were you doing with her at the Harborview when you told me you were at a conference?" He sank into the chair opposite mine. "Melissa she's an old friend from college. We ran into each other at a coffee shop in January. It was completely innocent at first." "At first," I repeated, the words like ash in my mouth. "She was going through a divorce. She needed someone to talk to. I should have told you about reconnecting with her, but I knew you'd be upset because of how close we were in college." I remembered now, Melissa Chen. Daniel had mentioned her a few times when we first started dating, his lab partner, his study buddy. "Nothing to worry about," he'd assured me. "So you decided to lie instead? To sneak around behind my back?" My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. "What happened on April 17th? Daniel looked down at his hands. "We met for drinks. She was in a bad place. One thing led to another, and you slept with her." It wasn't a question. It was one time, Becca. One terrible mistake. I hated myself afterward. I ended things with her immediately. I swear to you it meant nothing. "Nothing," I echoed hollowly. The diamond ring on my finger caught the light, mocking me. "If it meant nothing, why didn't you tell me?" "Because I knew it would hurt you. Because I was ashamed. Because I was terrified of losing you." His eyes were pleading now. "I love you, Rebecca. That never changed. What happened with Melissa was just a moment of weakness. A moment of weakness. As if that made it better somehow." A soft knock interrupted. My sister Jenna peeked in, her bridesmaid dress rustling as she entered. "Everyone's waiting. Mum and Dad are freaking out. What's going on?" I looked at Daniel, then at Jenna. "Can you give us a few more minutes?" After she left, I stood and walked to the small window overlooking the church garden. Cherry blossoms floated on the spring breeze, the perfect backdrop for wedding photos we might never take. "Who wrote the letter?" I asked, my back still. "To Daniel." "I don't know. Maybe Melissa herself. She wasn't happy when I ended things." "Were you ever going to tell me?" I heard him stand, felt him approach, but he didn't touch me. I wanted to, so many times. But then we got engaged, and the wedding planning started, and it never seemed like the right moment. I convinced myself it was better this way. Why hurt you over something that would never happen again? I turned to face him. Because I deserved the truth. Because I was about to promise my life to you without knowing who you really are. This isn't who I am, Becca. It's a mistake I made, one I will regret for the rest of my life. Part of me wanted to believe him, the part that had loved him for 4 years, that had dreamed of our future together. But another part, a stronger part, knew that trust once broken is never quite the same. "I need time to think," I said finally. "I can't stand in front of all those people and make vows I'm not sure about anymore." "What are you saying? You want to call off the wedding?" "I don't know what I want except that I can't go through with it right now. Not like this." His face crumpled. "Please, Becca, don't throw away everything we have. I made a terrible mistake, but I love you. I want to spend my life making it up to you." Before I could respond, the door burst open. My father stood there, his formal attire at odds with his worried expression. "What the hell is going on?" he demanded, looking between us. "We have a church full of people waiting." I took a deep breath. "Dad, can you please tell everyone the wedding is postponed? I'm sorry, but I can't explain right now." "Postponed?" He looked incredulous. "Rebecca, do you have any idea?" "Please, Dad." I cut him off, my voice breaking. Just do this for me. Something in my face must have convinced him. He nodded curtly and left, closing the door behind him. Daniel reached for my hand. Becca. I pulled away. I need to be alone. I need to think. Where will you go? I don't know. Not home. Not our home, anyway. The thought of returning to the house we shared made me feel physically ill. Stay, he pleaded. We can work through this. I shook my head, already removing the veil from my hair. I can't be around you right now. I can't even look at you without seeing you with her. I gathered my courage and walked past him to the door. Before leaving, I turned back one last time. Daniel stood amid the ruins of our wedding day, still holding the letter that had changed. Everything. I'll have Jenna collect my things, I said quietly. Don't call me, don't try to find me. When I'm ready to talk, if I'm ever ready, I'll contact you. And then I was gone, walking quickly through the back hallway of the church, avoiding the main sanctuary where confused guests were probably still seated. I made it to the parking lot just as Jenna caught up with me. Rebecca, stop, what are you doing? I need to go, I said, fumbling in my small bridal purse for my phone. Can you get me an Uber and loan me some clothes? To her credit, Jenna didn't push for explanations. 20 minutes later, I was in the back of a stranger's car wearing my sister's jeans and sweater, headed for a hotel across town. My wedding dress was stuffed into a garment bag in the trunk. My bouquet, that beautiful, terrible harbinger of truth, I'd left behind. As the city passed by in a blur, I wondered about the anonymous letter writer. Had they known their words would shatter my world? Had they truly written them out of care for me? Or was there another motive entirely? Whoever they were, whatever their intentions, they had forced me to confront a truth I might otherwise have never known. And as painful as that truth was, I couldn't regret learning it, not when the alternative was a marriage built on lies. The Hampton Inn off I-95 became my refuge for the next 3 days. I ignored the barrage of calls and texts from everyone, except Jenna, who brought me clothes and necessities without judgment. On the second day, she also brought news. The story of my abandoned wedding had spread through our small Connecticut town like wildfire, with speculation ranging from cold feet to secret pregnancy. No one knows the real reason, she assured, me sitting on the edge of my hotel bed. Daniel hasn't said anything specific, just that you both agreed to postpone. I laughed bitterly. How noble of him. Are you ever going to tell me what happened? I handed her the letter, now crumpled from repeated reading. As she scanned it, her expression shifted from curiosity to shock to anger. That bastard, she whispered. He confirmed this is true? I nodded, staring at the generic hotel artwork on the wall. One night stand with an ex from college, 2 months before our wedding. Do you know who wrote this? No. Daniel thinks maybe Melissa herself. Jenna's eyes narrowed. That seems convenient. Why would this Melissa wait until your wedding day? Why not tell you right after it happened or not at all? Her questions echoed my own swirling thoughts. The timing was strange. The method was strange. Everything about the letter felt deliberate, calculated for maximum impact. I need to find out, I said suddenly. I need to know who wrote it. How? I'm going to find Melissa. Finding her wasn't difficult. A social media search for Melissa Chen, connected to Daniel, yielded results within minutes. She worked at a biotech firm in Cambridge, the very city Daniel had claimed to be visiting for a conference on April 17th. I sent her a direct message. I need to speak with you about Daniel Matthews. It's important. Her response came the next morning. I wondered if I'd hear from you. Coffee at Thinking Cup on Newbury, 2 p.m. tomorrow. The train ride to Boston gave me time to prepare what I'd say, but no amount of preparation could have readied me for the actual meeting. Melissa was striking, tall and elegant, with a confident demeanor that made me feel immediately inadequate in my borrowed clothes and hastily applied makeup. Rebecca, she said, extending her hand as I approached her table. I wish we were meeting under different circumstances. Did you write the letter? I asked, skipping pleasantries. She blinked, genuinely confused. What letter? I described it, watching her face carefully. Her surprise seemed authentic. "No," she said finally. "I didn't write any letter, but I'm guessing it was about Daniel and me." I nodded, swallowing hard. "He told me it was one night. A mistake. That he ended things immediately." Melissa's laugh was short and humorless. "Of course he did." She stirred her coffee slowly. "It wasn't one night, Rebecca. We've been seeing each other since January. At least once a week, sometimes more." The floor seemed to drop from beneath me. "That's not possible. I would have known." "Would you?" "Think about it. The late nights at work, the weekend conferences, the networking events you were never invited. So each example hit like a physical blow. All those times I'd accepted his excuses without question, trusted him implicitly. April 17th wasn't special," Melissa continued. "It was just another Thursday for us. I had no idea he was engaged until March, when I saw a wedding invitation at his apartment. He swore he was going to end things with you, that he was only going through with the wedding because of pressure from his family." My head spun with this new information. Not a single moment of weakness, but months of deliberate deception. Not just betraying me, but lying to her as well. "When did you last see him?" I managed to ask. She hesitated. "Tuesday. 3 days. Before your wedding." The final piece of my heart that had been holding out hope for reconciliation shattered. "If you didn't write the letter," I said, "who did?" Melissa shrugged. "Daniel has managed to piss off plenty of people. Could be anyone." We parted shortly after, 2 women connected by the worst possible circumstances. As I walked through Boston's busy streets, I felt strangely calm. The additional betrayal should have devastated me, but instead it clarified things. There was no salvaging my relationship with Daniel. No amount of apology or therapy could rebuild what he'd systematically destroyed. Back at the hotel, I finally answered one of his dozens of calls. "Becca, thank God," he breathed when I picked up. "I've been going crazy. Where are you? Can we talk in person?" "I saw Melissa today," I said flatly. The silence that followed told me everything. "Becca, listen." "No, you listen. I know everything now, not just April 17th, but all of it. Every lie you've told since January." "She's twisting things," he started, but his voice lacked conviction. "Stop, just stop lying. It's over, Daniel. We're over." "Please," he begged, his voice breaking. "I'll do anything. Counseling, therapy, whatever you need. What I need is to never see you again." The words came easily now. "I'll have Jenna coordinate getting the rest of my things from the house. You can keep the ring, sell it, throw it away. I don't care. Just leave me alone." I ended the call and blocked his number. Then I opened my laptop and began searching for apartments in New York City, something I'd dreamed of doing since college, but had abandoned when Daniel and I got serious. He'd never wanted to leave Connecticut, and I'd compromised. One of many compromises, I now realized. 3 weeks later, I was unpacking boxes in a tiny studio in Brooklyn. My parents, after getting over their initial shock, had supported my decision to make a fresh start. Jenna had helped me move, turning the process into an adventure rather than an escape. The mystery of the letter remained unsolved. Part of me still wondered who had cared enough to intervene, even knowing how much pain it would cause. Whoever they were, I found I was grateful. Better terrible truth than beautiful lies. On my first Friday night in the city, as I was arranging books on my new shelves, my phone pinged with a text from an unknown number. "I hope you're doing okay. I'm sorry for how I did it, but not that I did it. You deserved better." I stared at the message, heart racing. "Who is this?" I typed back. "Someone who's known Daniel a long time. Someone who saw what he was doing to you and couldn't stay silent. Why wait until my wedding day?" I asked. I tried other ways first. Anonymous emails that bounced back. A note left on your car that blew away. The wedding was my last chance to reach you. I'm sorry for the public drama, but not for saving you from him. I sat heavily on my second-hand couch, mind racing through possibilities. Who had access to my bouquet? Who knew Daniel well enough to know about Melissa? "Thank you," I wrote finally. It hurt, but I needed to know. "You'll be happier now, I promise." The message came with a photo, a cherry blossom branch in full bloom, like the ones outside the church on what should have been my wedding day. And somehow, looking at those delicate pink flowers, I believed them. The pain was still there, the betrayal still fresh, but beneath it all was something new and fragile, possibility. A future unwritten, a path of my own choosing. I placed my phone down and walked to the window of my tiny apartment. New York sprawled before me, a city of strangers and stories. My story, the one that had nearly been derailed by lies, was just beginning. The letter hidden in my wedding bouquet had changed everything. But standing there, watching the sunset paint the Brooklyn skyline in shades of promise, I couldn't help but feel it had changed things for the better.